story of the invasion began 5 years ago, when the new perspectives of three-dimensional warfare first took shape in Germany's revolutionary strategy of training picked officers to serve simultaneously in all three arms, Army, Navy, and Air Force. First test case of their combined staff work was the assault on Norway. They struck in a triple drive by land, air, and sea. Evading Britain's superior navy, they used swift motor torpedo boats to land the first assault wave. What they lacked in naval power, they made up by air. Under air cover, guarded by E-boats, the troop ships landed their tanks and armored divisions, and Norway fell to the invader. From Greece to Crete, Germany's combined operations staff struck 12 months later with the first airborne invasion in military history, led by dive bombers, followed up by paratroops, gliders, and airborne infantry. Arms, ammunition, and supplies were dropped by parachute. Lightweight automatic weapons gave fast firepower to small numbers of men. Thus, surprise, speed, and superior firepower, the strategic trinity of offensive warfare, was successfully applied to the new tactics of combined operations. The amphibious invasion of Norway and the airborne conquest of Crete were military milestones. Yet, Germany failed to develop combined operations to their logical conclusion because her very strength as a land power prevented her from making full use of amphibious warfare. Hers was the center of the continent. She tried to conquer by land Poland, Denmark, Belgium, Holland, France, Yugoslavia, Greece, Russia, Italy, Romania, Hungary. But among our enemies, Japan, not Germany, was the pioneer of amphibious warfare. From the time of Drake until Pearl Harbor, Japan fought for control of the Pacific. Her navy, unlike the British or American, was designed purposely as an amphibious force, a swift, short-range, troop-carrying, island-hopping adjunct to the Japanese army. And she was quick to learn the lesson of air power. From Germany, she borrowed the dive bomber and adapted it to the needs of amphibious warfare. The whole coast of China, nearly 5,500 miles of it, was conquered in this manner. And so, through 13 years of unbroken amphibious warfare, Japan planted her flag firmly into military history. But the greatest amphibious empire of all was the British. Yet, after 20 years of peace, Britain had almost forgotten the lesson that had gained her an empire. She had to learn it again bitterly and slowly, the long, hard way. Forced evacuations, amphibious operations in reverse were her taskmasters. From Dunkirk back to England, from Greece to Crete, from Crete back to Egypt. And the murderous beaches, strewn with the bodies of the dead, burned themselves in England's mind for 3 long years, reminders to strike back, to rediscover her forefathers' birthright of combat across the sea. In June 1940, the Combined Operations Command was established with its new methods of training and coordinating combined forces on land, sea, and in the air. Their troops, the commandos, immediately struck all along the Atlantic coast of Europe. Cap d'Erpreche, Guernsey, Lofoten, Spitsbergen, Vauxhall, Grunwald, Saint-Nazaire, Dieppe, Cascade, Longfjord, Lillebo. The commandos were assault troops trained in the lesson of guerrilla fighting, woodcraft, camouflage, close combat, self-reliance. They lived where they liked, and they kept their arms with them wherever they went. Tommy guns, Sten guns, automatic pistols, hand grenades. They moved swiftly by sea or air, and since their lives depended on their weapons, they took great care of them. With firepower far beyond their number, they struck at night, silently, at a given signal. As the dawn came up, they moved inland. Dynamite was their weapon to complete the job. They blew up enemy installations, centers of communication, radio stations, and other key points of enemy defense. Their work done, they moved away silently, swiftly, by plane or naval transport. Left behind them was not only wreckage, but the memory of a new fighting force, swift, silent, deadly. Soon they moved south, Tragino, Bardia, Crete, Syria, Tobruk, Vede Litoria, Madagascar. Out of these raids grew the first invasions, Oran and Algiers, Sicily, Salerno, Anzio. Here, for the first time, the huge mechanized might of the Western Hemisphere went into action. New landing ships that had long been given industrial priority over all other arms. Richly equipped troops. New amphibious vehicles. New types of troop ships, all of them linked by radio to hit the beach at the exact time and place in coordination with all other landing parties. The infantry landing ships and the boats that carry the guns, each piece of equipment must come out of the landing crafts with the order and precision of an assembly line. New techniques of loading and balance, specially devised for this purpose. New techniques of waterproofing and rust control, specially developed by Army engineers to protect the tanks that had to move through water up to their turrets. New amphibious vehicles, specially designed, the alligator, the water buffalo, the duck, And always there had to be air cover for protection. As raids grow into invasions, the strategic accent shifts from attack to consolidation. Supplies must be landed. Landing strips must be laid down. Roads must be built. Soon the transport planes and glider trains bring in whole armored divisions. Thus, to the British tradition of commando landings, we of the Western Hemisphere have added our native tradition of inventive industry, the assembly line, as mainspring of mechanized warfare. We saw combined operations not only as things the commandos do, but as new strategical principles, logically deriving from the technology of our age. To the two dimensions of land warfare, we saw naval strategy added as a third. Pillboxes and underground shelters gave added depth on land. The submarine gave depth to it on sea. The bomber gave height to it. The fighter escort added a third dimension in the air. The glider, the parachute, the gasoline-driven assault boat, and the amphibious tank made modern industry's contribution to the tradition of mobile warfare. And finally, radio and electronics linked this three-dimensional attack team into a unified battle force. This was the team which broke Japanese resistance in the Pacific. The assault boats, lowered from the big transports, went in for the kill. Above them, always, our planes kept watch. Yet at the last moment, enemy bombers sometimes managed to set their own beaches afire with oil bombs. Then it was up to the individual soldier's bravery to make his way through the burning sea. So now, as always, the battle depends again on the common infantryman. We saw the now familiar picture of the dazed Japanese surrendering in his bare loincloth. Thus, in the 5th year of the war, trained by commando raids in the north, invasions in the south, and island battles in the Pacific, we are finally attacking the enemy's main bastion. To meet our invasion fleets, spread from Norway to the Mediterranean, Germany has had to disperse her forces. Under her very eyes, our fleets probe for weak points all along the coast to converge on D-Day into a solid battering ram and strike at the beaches through the barrage of the coastal guns. Smoke screens and constant air cover must our strategic plan. March separately, strike together. Napoleon's maxim brought up to date by the new weapons of amphibious warfare. At 0 hour, our strategic and tactical air forces merge into one, blowing up minefields, destroying underwater obstacles, and skip bombing shore installations to keep the enemy in their pillboxes till our barges hit the shore. The sky fills with the tracery of our new weapons, whose very names have been secret till now. Unrotative projectiles, daisy cutters, Z-guns, rockets of all types. And as the rockets hit the beach, assault troops attack. The first wave breaks across the beaches to provide covering fire for the next. French commandos, Canadians, U.S. Rangers, Marines with mechanized equipment. Fire support from sea and air on a narrow beachhead means barrages within 100 yards of the advancing troops. Bombardment can soften the defense, but the infantry must take it. Through bombs and shells, past wreckage of tanks, over the bodies of the dead, through the burning graveyards of armored divisions, hit, wounded, and still moving on. From their dugouts, the enemy's long-sheltered troops must finally venture into open combat. Gurkhas and Indian commandos, Canadians and Anzacs carry the spearhead of attack. To cut off enemy withdrawals, our paratroops must attack behind the lines, landing in 6 to 12 men with their weapons ready. Linked by radio, trained in judo and commando tactics. Striking silently and killing swiftly. The paratroops' job done, our armor divisions must move in from the sea. Shock troops taking cover behind their shield, drawing the enemy's combat teams to the counterattack. are the beginning. The main job lies beyond.